right, good evening from the Sawtooth. What a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed the first day out here. This is day 1 of 6, at least that's the plan, for the Grand Sawtooth Loop. And I am doing the inner Grand Sawtooth Loop, which I believe is the original. There seems to be at least one other Grand Sawtooth Loop. But yeah, so today was awesome. Started at Grand Jean, went up to Sawtooth Lake, and today in the evening dropped down the Barren Creek, and that's where I'm camped now, which is just a great campsite, right by the water, which is just roaring over there. Nice for sleeping, but just a good campsite in general. All told, it was a little more than 16 miles today, which didn't really anticipate to do quite that much today. I actually had a different plan, but just decided to make tomorrow a little bit easier by chunking off a little more of today. So yeah, so this is day 1 of day 6. After this trip is over, I'm actually going to meet with 6 of my buddies for another 3 days. So the day that I finish this trip, I'll go into Stanley, grab some food, meet up with my buddies, and then the next day, Friday, August 3rd, we will start the White Cloud Loop, which is the kind of brother-sister wilderness to the Sawtooth, so at least that's how I explain it, since it's essentially right across the highway from each other. So, yeah, so this is essentially day 1 of 9, and yeah, today was fantastic. It was incredibly hot, but fortunately, like middle of the day, it got a little cloudy, which actually ended up making it a little humid, but very, very warm today. I ended up actually just having to take a nap, kind of on the tail end of all the lakes following Sawtooth, just because I was just so warm and was getting so tired. So kind of jumped in the lake, took a nap, and woke up and was feeling pretty good. So decided to hoof it the last 5 miles or so down here, and really glad I did. That should make actually the next couple of days a little bit easier. So all told though, just a really good day. Body feels pretty good, and I'm sure I'm going to sleep really well tonight. Yeah, there are minimal complaints. There's hardly any bugs here, which is just weird. I've had a couple mosquito bites, but given what I endured last weekend in the Beartooth of Montana, this is just essentially the polar opposite. So that's been outstanding. The views of these peaks are just incredible. The Sawtooth, they earn their name. All these peaks are so jagged and tooth-like. But yeah, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm heading up I believe the North Fork of Barren Creek to Barren Lakes. And we're going to kind of see how I'm feeling from there, because from there I've planned out to go to Feather Lakes, which is a little off the beaten path, and the next day do a little bit of cross country. But I mean, I'm not sure if that will or won't happen. That's just kind of the current plan. So we'll see what happens. Just going to kind of keep rolling with the punches and make the most of each day. So I already ate dinner. I'm going to do some reading and pass out, get some good sleep. And yeah, should be a really good day tomorrow as well. See what's out there. Holy cow. Sawtooth, Sawtooth, Sawtooth. Starting to think I legitimately underestimated this place for all it has to offer and just how spectacular it really is. Today was truly magnificent. This is kind of the epitome of what I kind of live for in backpacking, if you will. Just next to flawless day. I started down at the junction of the north, I believe it's the North Fork Barren Creek, which connects to, I want to say it's Trail Creek, whichever trail takes you up to Sawtooth Lake, or down from Sawtooth Lake. So I started at that junction today. Pretty decent little campsite right there. It was a long day yesterday to get there. Pretty decent little campsite. Creek right by me. You know, all was well. Woke up this morning. No alarm clock or anything. Slept really, really well last night. Got a later start. The morning was a little moody with the weather. It was kind of slight rain here and there. Very light, but on and off. Then kind of cloudy for most of the morning until probably 11 a.m. or so. And then around 11 a.m. it just cleared up, and that was right as I was getting to Barren Falls. Barren Falls was spectacular. You know, those first 3 miles or so from that junction, you're pretty socked in the woods. So you don't get you catch glimpses of all the peaks around you, of course, but you're pretty socked in. And once you start to break out of that, you have a pretty tough climb to get up into that Barren Lakes basin. And once you get up to that kind of clearing, it's just a, you know, perfect view down, I'll just call it the Barren Creek Valley, leading towards Grand Jean. Just outstanding view there. The waterfall's fantastic, as I mentioned. From there, you still have a good 500-600 feet to climb, though, to get to the middle Barren Lake. But man, is it worth it. That lake is spectacular. One of the prettiest lakes I have ever seen anywhere in the country. Lots of camping there too, down along the creek side there, and around the lake. Plenty of camping around the lake. Saw a fair amount of people. And then heading up to Upper, pretty quick climb for the most part. Get 100, 200 feet or something like that, but pretty quick climb. Not nearly the same amount of camping up there, so if you do head up there, you know, be careful, because there really isn't a whole lot of camping up there. I saw one very large group up there, and I'm sure they were taking up the majority of the camping up there. It's just a lot rockier over there. But man, that's a fantastic lake as well. And fortunately, I managed to stay at the middle Barren Lake for, it must have been 4 hours, maybe even longer during lunch. And I just hung out, had a really long lunch, chatting with people, sent a couple messages back to my mom, let her know I'm all right, and also checking on weather. So I stayed there for a really long time, and it was blisteringly hot out. And it kind of, the hotter it was getting as I was eating lunch and stuff, the more I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to hang out here until about 5 o'clock, and I guess what would still be kind of the apex of the heat, but let my body cool down and get a fresh start for what is a rather dramatic pass from Upper Barren up to, I guess it would just be the divide between Barren Lakes and where I am now, which is Alpine Lake. And so that climb's a real face kicker. You from Middle Kramer up to the pass is around 2 miles. Maybe not even 2 miles actually, maybe a mile and like 3/4 or so. Um, but man, it's all of the 1,000 feet that you expect it to be. And again, fortunately for me though, I took a long break and I was very ready to go once I started. So I pretty much powered up 90% of that pass without really stopping. Um, and once you get to the top, it's pretty steep there, but my goodness, the views from that pass, that might be one of the 5 or 10 best passes I've ever been on. Just the 360 all around you is truly incredible. And looking out towards Grand Jean, you can just see so far out past, well beyond the Sawtooths. And so that was just a magnificent. I spent a lot of time up there actually. I probably spent another 30-40 minutes, scrambled up one of these kind of unnamed peaks and just soaked it in. And then looking into this valley is just $1,000,000 view. I mean, you can see all the way to where I'm going to go tomorrow, Kramer Lakes. I couldn't actually quite make them out, but you could see the valley that they were in. All the lakes surrounding Alpine Lake here. And just the peaks are just absolutely magnificent. And so that was just a real treat to be up there. And I just felt so refreshed and energized by just what I was looking at too. So yeah, I'm still kind of in awe, particularly because as you can see too, thanks to some good friends I ran into on the trail, Ryan, Jake, and Anna, they led me to this campsite, and they mentioned that there were plenty of great campsites beforehand, which is true. There's a lot of good camping along this lake, but man, I am so glad I listened to them and decided to make the extra, I don't know, probably 8th mile at most hike down this side, because this is just a truly magnificent campsite. I don't know that I've had a whole lot better than this. Perched up here, the creek is right over here to my right, and there's no running creek at the other end, or at least that I saw that was convenient. And so to get the running water for when I'm sleeping, plus to purify, and then this view. I mean, are you kidding me? This view is just unreal. The fishing looks great here too. If you're out here fishing, I mean, they're jumping all over this lake right now, which you can probably see. The one thing I have noticed that's a little worse here than anywhere I've been so far, the skeeters are a little worse, as you can see me swatting them away. So keep that in mind. Honestly, I really haven't had much problem at all with the mosquitoes. People have been saying they've been bad, but I really just haven't thought anything of it yet. I've only put bug spray on one time, and it was because I got hit in one area. Again, I was in the Beartooth last weekend though, and so, I might be, I don't know, I might be having a different opinion on that just with what I experienced last weekend compared to this weekend. And so, obviously I hope they don't get worse or anything, of course, knock on wood, but they haven't been too bad, although here they are the worst I've seen in my 2 days so far. So. Oh man, it just keeps getting better and better and better. The Sawtooths hold a very special place in my heart after these 3 days, and by the time I'm finished, who knows where it'll really stack amongst all the cool places I've been, but this place is just completely special and just mesmerizing and jaw-dropping in so many different ways. And today was awesome. Quickly and almost immediately abandoned my ambitions of summiting any peaks today. I got virtually no sleep last night, and actually kind of, when I did wake up, I actually felt a little crummy too, just kind of what I thought was like mildly ill, but hoofed it down the 2 miles from Alpine Lake down to Mount Kramer Trail, and it was about 1,000 feet downhill, and then about 3.5 miles or so to the Kramer Lakes, which once again seems to be the case with all of them. Were just absolutely fantastic. The waterfall between Middle and Upper Kramer just is beautiful, and the peaks around Kramer Lakes are just outstanding. Those were the peaks that I was looking at considering summiting, and really when I was there it didn't look that crazy, but I definitely didn't have the stamina for it today, and so I actually ended up, which seems to be almost the theme for me this trip, I took a good 2 hour or more nap at Middle Kramer pretty quickly after getting there and eating some lunch. For a good 2 hours I just knocked out and woke up and felt totally different, and so jumped in the lake, which I continue to jump in all of them multiple times a day, but jumped in the lake, felt revitalized and refreshed, and was good to go. And thank goodness I did too, because that pass going up above the Kramer Lakes to what takes you to Hidden Lake is quite long. It's really not the hardest pass by any means. It's about 1,000 feet up, but it's just really long. You feel like you're on it forever. But it is worth every last step, because that view looking down to Hidden Lake is one of the absolute most spectacular views I've ever seen. In a different scenario, I would love to camp at Hidden Lake, but I just wanted to grab some miles today, especially with how long I took a nap for. So wound up bypassing Hidden Lake and was kind of hoofing it past there the entire way, and just was trying to make it as far as I could without like doing anything too crazy, essentially, and wear myself out. And so wound up here at Edna, bypassed Virginia Lake, which was kind of busy, but here at Edna, just a beautiful lake once again. This was on my itinerary to camp at originally, but anyways, so it's going to be early night tonight. Hopefully I get some good sleep, because I am intending to do arguably my longest day tomorrow. I'd love to get to 20 miles to make my last day out very short. I'm expecting tomorrow to be fantastic as well. Um, just all in all, though, I'm honestly kind of blown away by how cool this place is. Like, I knew it was cool. I'd been in here once before, but man, this has completely exceeded my expectations. The campsites are fantastic and copious. Um, and then these lakes and these peaks and just sweeping views. I mean, truly just spectacular, multiple times in a given day. It really makes me want to come back again. And I talked to a guy a couple days ago that was doing what I thought was a pretty cool through hike, which was he was doing a hike of the distance of the Sawtooth Wilderness. So he said it was going to be around 120 miles, all said and done. Um, so maybe one day I do that. I don't know. But I know I'll be back. I mean, this place is just incredible. I'd love to go to Hidden Lake and spend more time there. That place was just that view looking down into Hidden Lake was incredible. Might be my favorite view of the whole trip at this point. Even better than my campsite last night, actually, which hard to beat. But so I'm camped here at Edna, about to eat dinner, read some pages. Again, hopefully I get to bed pretty early. I'd really like to be up at um, 5 a.m., something like that. If I get some good sleep, I definitely will be, because I want to put some real distance in tomorrow, so that um, Wednesday, my day out, is nice and easy. With the potential weather approaching Wednesday, Thursday, if not possibly even tomorrow, um, I'm trying to get out a day earlier than originally planned so that I can connect with my buddies, figure out what the word is for the white clouds, which we're supposed to do right after this. And if the weather, of course, if the weather's bad, then we're going to have to change plans. If the weather's good, then great. I have a day of rest and actually kind of 2 days of rest since we don't hike until Friday. But we'll see. I can't speculate right now. Um, just need to kind of play it by ear and just enjoy the night and tomorrow. Tomorrow I expect is going to be fantastic. I'm going to see a ton of lakes. And then the day out will be real nice and easy along the South Payette River. The scenery won't quite live up to the days before, but that's okay. It'll be, day out. So, all in all, just another really good day. Just kind of, I'm kind of just in awe of this place still. Um, all right. We'll see you in the morning. Grand Jean. Getting close. Okay, so I made it. I did it. Done with the Sawtooth Loop. Grand Sawtooth Loop. I'm not even sure which one at this point. Met so many different people that were doing one of the two loops, and either way, this has been an incredible trip. So I'm at Grand Jean right now, which is a pretty popular recreational campground. If you come here any given day or weekend in the summer, expect it to be essentially full. But there is a lot of camping around here. There's actually even supposed to be a little lodge right over here. But there's a lot of recreational campsites around here. And so this is also the one of the main trailhead starting points to doing this loop. But yeah, so made it yesterday in the kind of second half of the day. I didn't actually do a recap or even do too much filming, and there's a couple reasons behind that. Pretty much after leaving excuse me, after leaving Three Rock Island Lake, which was exceptional, right about after that, for a good 10 miles or so, there isn't a whole lot to show. The trail is a lot different in that section than the 50 to 60 miles prior to it. It's very dry, arid, just you're very open and exposed, but in a strangely forested area also. And it's honestly just not the most scenic hiking I've ever done. Truth be told, I could go without that section any given day. But if that's the price of admission to see the rest, then, you know, sign me up. So, you know, that's part of the reason I didn't get a ton of additional shots that day. But also I wound up doing about 23 miles that day, and towards the tail end I was just wiped out. I wound up camping with some good people, Doug and Terry from Portland. They were fantastic. We actually kind of found a spot together as we were all just collectively on our kind of last leg, and it all worked out. I ran into a few girls early in that morning that said that there was camping in the Big Meadow area that was pretty nice if I couldn't make the trek out to Grand Jean, that is. And you know, when we got there, we were like confused because it was not looking good at all. And so kept trekking on a little bit further, and I think desperation led us to a pretty good campsite. But I think you got to be careful there too, because there just isn't a lot of camping in that area. It's not like the rest of this trail where there's what seems like endless camping throughout the entire route. So just be careful in that last section from basically Elk Lake to Grand Jean. There really is there's limited camping, and I think the good stuff is actually kind of hard to find. You really, you know, we had to go off the beaten path a little bit, and so anyways, we wound up camping just after Taylor Springs. Those girls' comments from Illinois, thank you. That did end up paying off, although I was questioning it at first. But all said and done, it worked out. So if you're coming up the trail, it's going to be just before Taylor Springs. There's a little spur trail, and it takes you right down to the river. Right on the river, there's some camping. And then if you're coming down towards Grand Jean, it would be just a little bit after Taylor Springs. And so Yeah, all said though, yesterday was a very, very, very long day. I was just really tired by the end of it. I thought about making the push to Grand Jean, but the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze. And so I decided to take that campsite back there, and I'm glad I did because I got some really good rest, and I feel pretty good today. But on that third day, or yeah, fourth day, the morning was just exceptional. Leaving Edna, seeing all those lakes, getting to the pass was just fantastic. If you're looking for some sneakier campsites, Spangle and Middle Spangle are awesome. Middle Spangle has this crazy awesome campsite out in the middle of a peninsula that looks fantastic. There's also, prior to Spangle, in between Ardith and Spangle Lake, right at the top of the pass, there's a really good lake up there that not a lot of people are camping at or even going to. And there's a ton of peaks around it too, so I would imagine sunrise, sunset up there is fantastic. And then as you kind of make your way further from Spangle, Lake Inigborg, I think is what it's called, Ingeborg, I don't recall, was a pretty good lake, lots of good fish jumping in there when I was there. And then Three Rock Island Lake, I was very surprised by how scenic that lake was. I actually think that that was arguably the best lake in that entire section from basically Virginia Lake all the way to Three Rock Island Lake. I think that might have been the best one. There was nobody camped there. Didn't see a single person for a while through that section. So check that out if you're looking for kind of a sneaky spot to camp that you won't find as many people at. And but all said and done today, again, not a ton to really showcase. A really easy trail on the way out on the South Payette River Trail. Very dusty from horses and whatnot, but really easy, very flat. It was 5 miles. It took me 2 hours on the dot, and that's after having a long conversation with a guy on trail. So yeah, really easy hiking from Big Meadows to Grand Jean. And yeah, just collectively, this has just been a fantastic trip. I would put this loop up there with next to any route or trail in the country, honestly, especially for what I've done, which I feel like is quite a bit. This is one of the most spectacular places I have ever been. And again, I think I said it in one of the earlier days, but I almost feel like I overlooked the Sawtooth a little bit. And I've been in this area a couple of times, but you really have to get back into the woods to see them, just all its majesty and just how magnificent it is back there. Day 2, 3, and 4 were just absolutely incredible. Sawtooth Lake lives up to the hype. It's very busy, but it lives up to the hype and hike. Barren Lakes, Middle Kramer Lakes, all the Kramer Lakes, Alpine Lake, and then Edna Lake was great, and then I mentioned all Spangle and some of those other ones up in the 10 Lakes Basin area, but just kind of reflecting on it, it's slightly blown away how just fantastic this area is. I'll absolutely be back here, whether I'm doing this same loop or not, to be determined, but I'll absolutely be back to the Sawtooth. So for now, I'm going to head into Stanley, a great small little town, grab some food, check out the weather, and kind of figure out if we're doing the White Clouds in 2 days. Yeah, today's Wednesday, so it'd be 2 days from now. The plan originally was to do the White Clouds, so we'll check the weather, figure out if that's what we're doing, and if not, where am I going after that instead? So to be determined. So alright, y'all, hope you guys enjoyed, and cheers until next time.